All right, so one last thing I want to talk about before we move away from chromosomes and genetics is that um, we learned that every cell should have 46 chromosomes or 23 pairs. Now, remember, except for sex cells, those are going to go on to make a new human being. So these cells carry half the genetic code, only 23 chromosomes, and the other half will come from the other parent to produce the zygote with the 46 chromosomes, okay? But miscounts can happen, and you might end up with a zygote with more or fewer than 46 chromosomes. The majority of them, or those miscounts and zygotes, fail to duplicate and differentiate or implant even and become full human babies, and eventually just get aborted. But some of them, in certain cases, um, especially when there's an extra chromosome, can result in a surviving child. In such case, we have one very well-known syndrome, and that is Down syndrome. Down syndrome, or trisomy 21, is basically when you have three chromosomes at the 21st site instead of two. So instead of having the pair on the 21st chromosome set, you end up with three. A syndrome is a cluster of specific characteristics that will kind of occur together. And in this case, in the case of Down syndrome, children who are born with that syndrome will tend to have distinct thick tongues and a very distinct round face and shape, slanted eyes, and have very distinctive hands and feet and fingers. Um, so the impact of such genetic abnormality, though, is the result of interaction of both genetic and environment. So you might end up with a child who has Down syndrome, but they can go on to achieve success in school and be employed and have really a satisfying life if they received the nurture that can help them kind of compensate for those genetic mishaps. Everyone is a carrier of an allele that could possibly produce a serious disease. Most, however, are recessive, and this is why we go around not knowing until we might be married to another person who is also carrying a recessive, and then together we produce a child with a particular disease. Um, Enough to know 1 in 12 North American men and women carry an allele for cystic fibrosis, for example, or even thalassemia or sickle cell disease. So those are things that we carry in our genotype. Remember, the geno is what's inside. However, it is not necessarily something that is expressed or we know about it until it becomes dominant and expressed in the phenotype that we actually can find out. Um, Genetic testing and counseling can help a lot, and especially if it is something that the couple is willing to do ahead of time so that they know if they are compatible or if they are carrying a particular recessive disease, then then they can be more careful about the precautions they need to take if they choose to go on with a pregnancy and perhaps end up with a child that is carrier of the disease. Um, I've included a short video that I would like you to watch just to better understand the different types of syndromes and chromosomal abnormalities that we might experience uh, genetically if, just for your interest.